Hi, apes. um, so let's start reading some King Lear. Sounds like a plan. Um, so I have found the exact same text. So this is on the web. I found this on the web. This is the Folger edition. And so I downloaded it and I put it in Cami so I can kind of annotate it in real time with you. We're not going to do this for every single scene, but I think it'll be good to go through a couple. So hopefully you went and saw the video about characters, because that will be really important to start with, and talking about our annotations. So the main annotations I'm going to be making are I'm going to be highlighting things in green for plot details, important plot details, and I'm going to be highlighting things in yellow for important lines, which we won't do very much of. And I might, write some things in the margins, but I think that, you can kind of do that as we go along. I'm going to try and make these as short as possible, but it is Shakespeare, so we have to take our time on some of this stuff. So this is Act 1, Scene 1. We have Kent, Gloucester, and Edmund all enter. Remember, Edmund is the bastard son of Gloucester. Because he is lower in stature, usually when I've seen plays, he's off to the side. And he can't necessarily be next to these people that are of higher status than him. So this play starts in media res right at the beginning, and like you're just thrown into the middle of a conversation. You have no idea what's going on. So here we go. Kent, I thought the king had more affected the Duke of Albany than Cornwall. It did always seem so to us, but now in the division of the kingdom, it appears not which of the dukes he values most. For equities are so weighed that curiosity in neither can make choice of either's moiety. We're going to highlight some stuff in green already. We're going to highlight all this. Oh, that's underlining. Come on. All right, here we go. Ha! There we go. So that's some good plot stuff. So what's happening is the king is given up, right? He's going to divide his kingdom, and he's going to decide who's going to be in charge. And so he's dividing it up. He plans to divide it up because that's a good idea. Yeah, every country needs two presidents or two kings or three or whatever. So he's just dividing it up among his children, which is not a good idea. Kent says, "Is not this your son, my lord?" pointing to Edmund. "His breeding hath been at my charge. I have so often blushed to acknowledge him that I am now brazen to it." And Kent says, "I cannot conceive you." "Sir, this young fellow's mother would, whereupon she grew round-wombed, and had indeed, sir, a son for her cradle, ere she had a husband for her bed. Do you smell a fault?" And Kent says, "I cannot wish the fault undone, the issue of it being so proper. But I have a son, sir, by order of law, some elder than this," he's talking about Edgar, right? "Who yet is no dearer in my account, though this knave came something saucily to the world before he was sent for. Yet his mother was fair. There was good sport at his making." So we're going to highlight some stuff. Gloucester's kind of a dirty old man, and he is saying, "I really like Edmund. I like him. He's a nice kid. But I really liked his mother, and I had a lot of fun making Edmund. It's gross." And so then he finishes lines, "And the horse son must be acknowledged. Do you know this noble gentleman, Edmund?" We're going to highlight this as well in green. Edmund steps forward and says, "No, my lord. And my lord of Kent, remember him after as an honorable friend, as my honorable friend." Edmund says, "My services to your lordship. I must love you and sue to know you better. Sir, I shall study deserving. He hath been out 9 years, and away he shall again." It's the trumpets, right? Senate trumpets. "The king is coming." So now the king, Cornwall, Albany, Goneril, Regan, Cordelia, a whole bunch of attendants, and they all gather around this table. They all come in, they gather around this table, and they are ready to talk about dividing up the kingdom. There's a map on the table, and they all don't sit down until Lear sits down because it's this whole proper thing. And King Lear here is acting not just as himself, but he's acting as the intermediary between these people and God. Because remember, he believes that he's chosen by God to be king, and he's going to use the royal we as he goes through and divides this up. So he says, attend the lords of France and Burgundy, Gloucester. So he sends him off to go. I need to read it as an old man. Attend the lords of France and Burgundy, Gloucester. So he goes off to go get him. Go, Gloucester, go in. I shall, my lord. He exits. Meanwhile, we shall express our darker purpose. Give me the map there. And we're going to underline darker purpose. I'm going to underline it in blue just because I can. When he means darker purpose, what he means is that he is going to divide the kingdom up. And I don't know if necessarily darker purpose is really the right word. He's old, remember? And so maybe he's choosing this word on accident, but it really, Shakespeare's choosing it on purpose because it's foreshadowing what's going to come. Remember, King Lear is a tragedy. Bad things are going to happen. So he's handed a map. Know that we have divided in 3 our kingdom, and 'tis our fast intent to shake all cares and business from our age, conferring them on younger strengths, while we unburdened crawl towards death. So we're going to highlight this stuff, right? So he is saying, we're going to divide the kingdom into 3. We're going to give each of my children and their husbands, which is why we need to get Cordelia married real quick, a piece of that. You're going to rule that piece. And then we are going to just hang out and have parties all the time. And as we move our way to death, we're going to retire. And we're not going to do any of the business of kings. Our son of Cornwall, and you are no less loving son of Albany, we have this hour a constant will to publish our daughter's several dowers, that future strife may be prevented now. It's a okay idea, right? That we're going to divide the kingdom up so that we don't have wars and problems. In practice, though, it isn't going to work. It never works. The 2 great princes, France and Burgundy, great rivals in our youngest daughter's love, long in our court have made their amorous sojourn, and here to be answered, tell me, my daughters, since now we will divest us both of rule, interest of territory, states, cares of state, which of you shall we say doth love us most? That we our largest bounty may extend where nature doth with merit challenge. Goneril, our eldest born, speak first. So we need to go back and highlight some stuff. So we're going to highlight, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, not like that. Undo. We're going to highlight this because that's what's going on, right? So they're getting France and Burgundy to figure out who is going to get Cordelia's hand in marriage and thus a third of Britain. So that's why he sent off Gloucester to go pick those people up. And then down here, it's interesting. He says, which of you shall say that they love us most, us being King Lear, that we our largest bounty may extend. Remember, he's using the plural. So he's playing this game. He says, you're going to tell me who loves me the most. It's the who loves me most game. Terrible idea. Right? Because there's something attached to it. They want to win so that they can get the best section. He didn't make 3 equal parts. He made 3 different. One's larger than the others. And so everyone's going to, make something up so that they can get the largest portion. So Goneril, sir, I love you more than world can wield the matter. Dearer than eyesight, space, and liberty, beyond what can be valued, rich or rare, no less than life with grace, health, beauty, honor, as much as a child e'er loved or father found, a love that makes breath poor and speech unable, beyond all manner, so much I love you. What? So we're going to highlight this whole thing. So she says, I love you more than eyesight, space, liberty. I love you more than any child in history has ever loved her father. I love you more than breath. I love you more than life itself. I love you more than words by extreme, right? Anything. Um, and we also want to make note that eyesight in this play is a motif. So I put some special marks around eyesight so that you know eyesight is a motif, and eyes are a motif in this. So Cordelia has an aside here. That means that she's off to the side and she's speaking so that the audience can hear us, but the other characters cannot. So no one else in the play can hear this, just us. What shall Cordelia speak? Love and be silent? Because I mean, this is a pretty amazing I love you speech, right? I love you more than life. I love you more than anything else. What are the other people going to do, right? So Lear, he points to the map. Of all these bounds, even from this line to this, with shadowy forests and with champaigns riched with plenteous rivers and wide-skirted meads, we make thee lady. To thine and Albany's issue be this perpetual. What says our second daughter, our dearest Regan, wife of Cornwall? Speak. All right. So he gives her a portion. It is not the best portion. He's saving that best portion because he wants to give it to Cordelia. But he gave her a portion, okay? Regan says, I am made of that self metal as my sister, and prize me at her worth. And then there should be a pause right there, right? And then her husband elbows her. Stop. Come on, do it. In my true heart, I find she names my very deed of love. Only she comes too short, that I profess myself an enemy to all other joys which the most precious square of sense possesses, and find I am alone felicitate in your dear highness's love. Once again, we're going to highlight this in green. It's an okay speech, not as good as Goneril's. And the fact that she had to be prompted by her husband to do it, that's also problematic. Then, once again, Cordelia says, aside, then poor Cordelia, and yet not so, since I am sure my love's more ponderous than my tongue. So remember, no one else can hear that. Cordelia is really struggling with this idea, right, of I have to prove to you that I love you. So Lear, once again, points to the map. To thee and thine hereditary ever remain this ample third of our fair kingdom, no less in space, validity, and pleasure than that conferred on Goneril. Now our joy, although our last and least, to whose young love the vines of France and milk of Burgundy strive to be interest, what can you say to draw a third more opulent than your sisters? Speak. And so it's crazy because he's been saving this the whole time. We're going to highlight this, right? And I think that Cordelia or Goneril and Regan understood this. They see it and they're like, well, I have to do, they saw that third that was better than the others. And they're like, I have to do this. It's not a fair challenge. It's not a fair game to play because Cordelia is going to win no matter what. And that makes Goneril and Regan upset. So he says, speak. Nothing, my lord. Nothing? Nothing. Nothing will come of nothing. Speak again. So this is one of those famous lines. So we're going to do it in yellow. Nothing will come of nothing. Famous line, right? Unhappy that I am, I cannot heave my heart into my mouth. I love your majesty according to my bond, no more nor less. So she says, I love you like I'm supposed to love you. You're my father. And if I can highlight this in green, I love you just as much as I'm supposed to love you. You're my dad. How, Cordelia, mend your speech a little, lest you may mar your fortunes. Good, my lord, you have begot me, bred me, loved me. I return those duties back as a right fit. Obey you, love you, and most honor you. Why have my sisters husbands if they say they love you all? Happily, when I shall wed, that lord whose hand must take my plight shall carry half my love with him, half my care and duty. Sure, I shall never marry like my sisters to love my father all. And I love this line because it's so logical, right? She's like, my sisters are lying to you, right? I'm not. We're going to highlight some stuff too while we're talking. So I return this. I like this right here. And it's a very good point. Like, how can the sisters say that they love Lear more than anybody else in the world, love them more than eyesight, more than life itself, when they have husbands? They're supposed to love their husbands. So either they're lying to King Lear, probably the case, or they never loved their husbands. Maybe. But goes thy heart with this? Ay, my good lord. So young and so untender? So young, my lord, and true. Let it be so. Thy truth, then, be thy dower. For by the sacred radiance of the sun, the mysteries of Hecate and the night, by all the operation of the orbs, from whom we do exist and cease to be, here I disclaim all my paternal care, propinquity and property of blood, and as a stranger to my heart and me, hold thee from this forever. The barbarous Scythian, or he that makes his generation messes to gorge his appetite, shall to my bosom be as well neighbored, pitied, and relieved as thou, my sometimes daughter. Whoa! So he just did something major, right? He just kicked her out of the family. So I am going to highlight some stuff. So here I disclaim down to barbarous for this right there. So he took away her dower, her dowager, her dowry, and I'm done with you, right? You're not my family. You are not to inherit anything. And I think it's interesting, this line where he says, my sometimes, as thou my sometime daughter, right? You used to be my daughter, but no more. You're done. So Kent comes up and puts his arm, good my liege. Peace, Kent, come not between the dragon and his wrath. I loved her most and thought to set my rest on her kind nursery. So he was hoping to hang out with Cordelia until he died. He was like, I want to live with her because she is awesome. So we're going to highlight this in green too. To Cordelia, right? Hence and avoid my sight. So be my grave, my peace, as here I give her father's heart from her. Call France, who stirs? Call Burgundy. And an attendant leaves, right? Cornwall and Albany. So they come forward. With my two daughters' dowers, digest the third. Let pride, which she calls plainness, marry her. Ooh, dang, that's rough. So we're going to highlight this in green as well. I do invest you jointly with my power. So now instead of 3, right, we're going to have 2 rulers of Great Britain. He's separated it. He's taken that third and drawn a line. Now they are going to inherit that. Preeminence and all the large effects that troop with majesty, ourself by monthly course with reservation of 100 knights, by you to be sustained shall our abode make with you by due turn. Only we shall retain the name and all the addition to a king, the sway, revenue, execution of the rest. Beloved sons, be yours, which to confirm this coronet part between you. So he just did some major things. He split it up, gave them powers, but he says, I'm still going to be king. I'm just going to come and stay at your houses, and you're going to take care of me and 100 knights. It's important that we remember the 100 knights because he's just going to wander the countryside with 100 knights. Seems awesome. I don't know that they're going to be all into it. Royal Lear, whom I have ever honored as my king, loved as my father, as my master followed, as my great patron thought on in my prayers. The bow is bent and drawn, make from the shaft. He's like, come on, get with it. Stop being so formal. Let it fall, rather, though the fork invade the region of my heart, be Kent unmannerly when Lear is mad. Whoa, he just called Lear mad. He called him crazy. But that's what you want when you're a leader. You want people that will stop and tell you when you're doing something wrong. Just like Creon in Antigone. Remember that he wouldn't listen, and Lear has some pride problems too. What wouldst thou do, old man? Thinkest thou that duty shall have dread to speak when power to flattery bows? To plainness honor's bound when majesty falls to folly. Reserve thy state, and in thy best consideration check this hideous rashness. So we're going to highlight this stuff right here in green too. Answer my life, my judgment. Thy youngest daughter does not love thee least, nor are those empty-hearted whose low sounds reverb no hollowness. So he's trying to get Lear to see that the other two, Goneril and Regan, are lying to him, right? They're just saying words. They don't mean any of it. And that Cordelia really loves him most. Kent, on thy life no more. My life I never held but as a pawn, to wage against thine enemies, nor fear to lose it, thy safety being motive. So he says, I don't care about my life. I swore my life to you, and if you're going to be the one that kills me, then you're going to be the one that kills me. Who cares? Out of my sight! See better, Lear. And I want us to underline that, okay? Because once again, we have that motif of sight. See better, Lear. Like, come on. You have to see this. And let me still remain the true eye, the true blank of thine eye. Now by Apollo, King, thou swearest thy gods in vain. O vassal, miscreant! And then Albany and Cornwall both say, dear sir, forbear, because everybody talks at the same time, right? Kent says, kill the physician, and thy fee bestow upon the foul disease. Revoke thy gift, or whilst I can vent clamor from my throat, I'll tell thee thou dost evil. Hear me, recreant, on thine allegiance hear me, that thou hast sought to make us break our vows, which we durst never yet, and with strained pride to come betwixt our sentence and our power, which not our nature nor our place can bear, our potency made good. Take thy reward. 5 days do we allot thee for provision to shield thee from disasters of the world, and on the 6th to turn thy hated back upon our kingdom. If on the 10th day following thy banished trunk be found in our dominions, the moment is thy death. Away! By Jupiter, this shall not be revoked. Okay, so he just totally banished Kent. It's done. And so we're going to highlight this stuff. He says, take thy reward. You got 5 days to get your stuff together, and you got to get out. And if on the 6th day you need to get out, and if we find you, we're going to give you some leeway, but if we find you after the 6th day up to the 10th day, we're going to kill you, right? We're going to give you a little leeway, right? 6 to 10, you got 4 days to figure out and get out of the kingdom itself. But then if we find you after the 10th day, we're going to kill you. Kent just accepts it, right? Because he swore fealty to Lear. He has no choice but to accept it. Fare thee well, king. Sith thus thou wilt appear, freedom lives hence and banishment is here. To Cordelia he takes her hand. The gods to their dear shelter take thee, maid, that justly thinkest and hast most rightly said. And then he turns to Goneril Regan. And your large speeches may your deeds approve, that good effects may spring from words of love. Thus Kent, O princes, bids you all adieu. He'll shape his old course in a country new. He exits. So Kent has been banished. He's gone. He was in the play for one scene. So enter Gloucester, and he brought France and Burgundy. Here they are. Here's France and Burgundy, my noble lord. My lord of Burgundy, we first address towards you, who with this king hath rivaled for our daughter. What in the least will you acquire in present dower with her, or cease your request of love? So he says, what is the cheapest price I could pay to get you to take Cordelia off my hands? Burgundy says, most loyal majesty, I crave no more than hath your highness offered, nor will you tender less. So I think that Lear was kind of favoring Burgundy, like we said in the character thing. He wants to keep it in England, right? The land and the alliance. And so they had already kind of maybe made a backroom deal. Right, noble Burgundy, when she was dear to us, we did hold her so, but now her price is fallen. Sir, there she stands, if aught within the little seeming substance, or all of it, with our displeasure pieced, and nothing more may fitly like your grace. She is there, and she is yours. And then he kind of like turns away, right? We're going to highlight, though, this whole thing in green. Burgundy, I know no answer. Will you, with those infirmities she owes, unfriended, newly adopted to our hate, dowered with our curse, and strangered with our oath, take her or leave her? I love those, right? So he's telling him all the stuff that she has, right? She's unfriended, he hates her, he's cursed her, she's strangled with his oath. Never will she have it. Pardon me, royal sir, election makes not up such conditions. Then leave her, sir, for by the power that made me, I tell you all her wealth. For you, great king, I would not from your love make such a stray. So he turns to the king of France. He says, you know what? You don't want this girl because she's a mess now. And I hate her. You don't want it, right? I don't want to insult you. To match you where I hate, therefore beseech you to avert your liking a more worthier way than on a wretch whom nature is ashamed almost to acknowledge her. Like, he is really being mean to Cordelia, and she is just taking it here. 'Tis most strange that she, he should have a French accent. I can't do a French accent. 'Tis most strange that she whom even but now was your best object, the argument of your praise, balm of your age, the best, the dearest, should in this trice of time commit a thing so monstrous to dismantle so many folds of favor. Sure, her offense must be of such unnatural degree that monsters it, or your forevouched affection fall into taint, which to believe of her must be a faith that reason without miracle should never plant in me. Like, he just cannot believe what's happening here because she was so precious. How could Lear possibly get rid of her? What did she do? So Cordelia finally speaks up. I yet beseech your majesty, for I want that glib and oily art, to speak and purpose not, since what I well intend, I'll do it before I speak, that you make known it is no vicious blot, murder or foulness, no unchaste action or dishonored step that hath deprived me of your grace and favor, but even for want of that for which I am richer, a still soliciting eye and such a tongue that I am glad I have not, though not to have it, hath lost me in your liking. So what she's saying here, and I think this is all important, she's trying to show Burgundy and France that she hasn't done anything sinful to make it so that the dowry is gone and that she's no longer to inherit, because it was at this time period a worry of potential suitors that a girl of nobility had lost her virginity. And so that's what she's worried. She says, it's I have done no unchaste action. Chastity is saving yourself for marriage, right? No dishonored step. I want you to know that I didn't do anything. It's just I said something and Lear didn't like it. Better thou hast not been born than not it have pleased me better. Whoa! He's just saying it's better that she had never been born. That is nuts. Come on, Lear. Is it but this, a tardiness in nature which often leaves the history unspoke that it intends to do? My lord of Burgundy, what say you to this lady? My love's not love when it is mingled with regards that stands aloof from the entire point. Will you have her? She is herself a dowry. And I love that line. We like King of France. He is good because he says, she's worth it, like just by herself, no dowry at all. She is worth having her because you don't need all the extra land and stuff. Okay, so then Burgundy says, Royal King, give but that portion which yourself proposed, and here I take Cordelia by thy hand, Duchess of Burgundy. So one more time he tries. Please just give me what you promised me, and I'll take her. Nothing. I have sworn I am firm. I am sorry then he turns to Cordelia. I am sorry then you have so lost a father that you must lose a husband. And Cordelia is fine. I don't think she really wanted to marry Burgundy. Peace be with Burgundy. Since that respect and fortunes are his love, I shall not be his wife. Which is so true, right? He doesn't care about her. He cares about respect and fortunes. Then France turns. Fairest Cordelia, that art more rich, being poor, most choice forsaken, and most loved despised, thee and thine virtues here I seize upon. Be it lawful I take up what's cast away. Gods, gods, 'tis strange that from their coldest neglect my love should kindle to inflamed respect. Thy dowerless daughter, king, thrown to my chant, is queen of us and ours and our fair France. Not all the dukes of waterish Burgundy can buy this unprized precious maid of me. Bid them farewell, Cordelia, though unkind, thou losest here a better where to find. Ah, we love France. He's so nice, right? And he really truly loves Cordelia. So Lear, thou hast her, France, let her be thine, for we have no such daughter, nor shall ever see that face of hers again. Well, which is messed up, right? Cordelia, he says to Cordelia, therefore be gone. Without our grace, our love, our benison, come, noble Burgundy. And then they leave. So flourish. And then everybody leaves except France, Cordelia, Goneril, and Regan. So the three daughters and France. Bid farewell to your sisters, the jewels of our father. With unwashed eyes, Cordelia leaves you. I know you what you are, and like a sister am most loath to call your faults as they are named. Love our father, love well our father, to your professed bosoms. She's like calling her sisters out right here. So we're going to highlight in green again. And kind of telling them off, right? Like you said, you loved him the most, so now he's yours. To love well our father, to your professed bosoms I commit him. And yet, alas, I stood I within his grace. I would prefer him to a better place. So farewell to you both. She knows that Regan and Goneril are not going to take care of him. Regan says, prescribe us not our duty. Whoa, chill out, Regan. Goneril says, let your study be to content your lord, who hath received you at fortune's alms. You have obedience scanted, and well are worth the want that you have wanted. That's pretty messed up too, right? Let your study be to content your lord. Don't tell us what to do. Like Goneril saying, don't tell us what to do, Cordelia. We got this handled. You need to go learn how to be a housewife now. Time shall unfold what plighted cunning hides, who covers faults at last with shame derides. Well, may you prosper. Come, my fair Cordelia. And then France and Cordelia exit. We're almost done. We're getting close. So Goneril, sister. They're like plotting now. They're all like whispering. Sister, it is not little I have to say what most nearly appertains to us both. Think our father will hence tonight? Because remember, he says, I'm going to come and live with you two, with 100 knights. That's most certain, and with you, next month with us. So he's going to go see Goneril first and then come to Regan's house. You see how full of change his age is? Because Lear was crazy in this scene, right? He was nuts, and it's because he's old. The observation we have made of it hath not been little. He always loved our sister most, and with what poor judgment he hath now cast her off appears too grossly. 'Tis the infirmity of his age, yet he hath never but slenderly known himself. The best and soundest of his time hath been but rash. Then must we look from his age to receive not alone the imperfections of long and graft condition, but therewithal the unruly waywardness that infirm and choleric years brings with them? Such inconstant starts are we like to have from him as this of Kent's banishment. So Regan acknowledges, we're going to have more problems with Lear. We need to get rid of him. If we don't, he's going to continue to do things like he did to Kent. There is further compliment of leave-taking between France and him. Pray you, let us sit together. If our father carry authority with such disposition as he bears, this last surrender of his will but offends us. We shall further think on it. We must do something, and in the heat. So we're going to highlight this. And she says, if we don't do something to our father, I think get rid of him, kill the guy, then we're going to have problems. And we need to do it fast, right? We must do something and in the heat. All right, so that's scene one. Hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully you made your annotations as we went along. I know that was a really long scene, but we had to do it. So good luck, and we'll see you later. Bye.